Francesco Bagnaia led 9 of 10 sprint laps at COTA, controlled the pace, built the gap. For the first time all season, he looked exactly like the rider Ducati built their era around. The paddock was watching, his team was watching, and for 9 laps it looked like the answer everyone had been waiting for. And then Jorge Martin, on the bike Bagnaia is moving to in 2027, came from a second back and took it from him on the final corner. That is not just a sprint result. That is a preview of what Bagnaia's future looks like. This is not a story about a tyre. It is a story about what the last 2 laps of that race told Bagnaia about the team he is joining. He did not reach for excuses. He diagnosed it the way a champion diagnoses something, with the calm of someone watching it happen from the inside. Unluckily, I started to struggle a bit too much with the rear after 5 laps. Then, in the last 5, I tried not to lose too much time, but in the last 2, it was completely vibrating on the entry to the corners. I was struggling a lot in the left corners. Maybe I pushed a bit too much in the first laps, but it's what it is. That is not an excuse. That is a post-mortem. 5 laps in, the feeling changed. Last 2 laps, completely vibrating. He knew exactly where the race was ending, and still could not stop it from ending there. But here is where it stops being about the tyre, and starts being about the man who beat him. Martin did not just choose the medium rear, he built a race around it before the sprint had started, against Aprilia's own recommendation. I convinced the team to go with the medium. They wanted to go with the soft, same as everybody else. But after FP2, I was really clear that my choice was the medium. I had to convince the team. But I told them, if it's not the right choice, then we will always do as the rest of the grid. This is how I convinced them. It was the right choice. He was third with 4 laps to go, on a tyre that was just beginning to come into its window. He did not panic. He did not push too early. He absorbed the opening phase when the tyre was cold and the soft runners were pulling away from him. He was patient when patience felt like losing. He waited, and then in 2 laps he erased the gap, made the move at turn 12 on the final corner of the race, and delivered exactly what he had told his team would happen before the sprint had started. It is the same quality that earned him the 2024 World Championship. The ability to read a race over distance in a way that feels wrong in the opening laps and decisive in the final ones. That is not luck. That is championship intelligence. And Bagnaia, the man who will be in the same garage as Martin next year, watched every single lap of it from 1 second ahead. And Bagnaia, leading, calculating, feeling the vibration build through his hands, understood exactly what was happening. I was struggling a bit, and I knew he was with the medium. I said, maybe if I arrived in the last lap with more than 1 second, I can win. If he was within 1 second when starting the last lap, it would be difficult. And it was like this. He had the information. He ran the calculation in his helmet while the tyre died underneath him. The gap at the start of the final lap was not enough, and there was almost nothing he could have done differently from lap 6 onwards, except, perhaps, chosen the medium before the race began. Do you think Bagnaia made the wrong tyre call? Or was the soft the correct choice for everyone except Martin, who had a specific read on his race? Drop your answer in the comments. The part that sits differently when you understand the full picture. Martin did not just beat Bagnaia, he beat him on the Aprilia RSGP. The exact machine Bagnaia has already committed to for 2027. The team that will be his garage, his engineers, his bike, his future. And what Martin showed on that bike in 10 laps is exactly what it rewards. Patience, tyre intelligence, the willingness to be wrong in the early laps in exchange for being right in the final ones. Bagnaia experienced that from the most brutal angle possible, leading the race, feeling the floor disappear, watching the gap close corner by corner until there was nothing left to hold. He learned what the Aprilia demands. He just learned it from the wrong side of it. The rider who took it will be in the other half of his garage next year, on the same bike, in the same team, and Bagnaia now knows exactly what he is capable of. Despite the loss, Bagnaia was clear about what the weekend meant. "I'm happy. I think me and the team deserved a lot this result. We have been working hard since the first test, and luckily we did a very good job this weekend. The potential is there." He said it like someone who had forgotten what the front felt like, because for 3 rounds he had. In Thailand and Brazil he did not lead a single lap. COTA gave him 9 laps at the front, a second place, and a fresh start he had been waiting for since the season opened. And even losing on the final corner left him saying, "I hope so," when asked if this was the reset he needed. Second place felt like confirmation after 2 races that felt like nothing but questions. But Martin leaves Austin leading the championship for the first time since his 2024 title season. Not through Bezzecchi faltering, not through anyone else making a mistake, through his own read of a 10-lap race that nobody else in the paddock had the conviction to call correctly. He went against his own team. He trusted his own data over his own garage's recommendation. He was right, and the bike he rides is the bike Bagnaia is moving to. Martin just demonstrated in front of the entire paddock exactly what that machine demands from the rider who wins on it. Bagnaia watched it from 1 second ahead. He now knows what the Aprilia is capable of in the hands of someone who understands it completely. Is Bagnaia's performance at COTA a genuine sign that his season is turning? Or does the tyre management question reveal something structural about the GP26 that will keep costing him? And with Martin now leading the championship on the bike Bagnaia has already signed for, does watching your future teammate win like that on your future machine make 2027 feel more right or more like a question you have not yet answered? Drop your answers in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe. There is a lot more of this coming, because Bagnaia spent 9 laps building something at COTA, and in 2 laps, the man who will be his teammate next year took it apart, on the exact bike Bagnaia is moving to in 2027. 10 laps told him everything about what that machine demands from the rider who wins on it, not from a data sheet, not from a debrief, from the inside of a race he was leading and could not hold. That is not just a sprint result. It is a question about who understands that future better right now. And on Saturday at COTA, only one of them had the answer.